Good afternoon, and welcome to Serenity Natural Health and Wellness. I am Julie Hilliker. I'm a board-certified naturopathic doctor. I'm also known as a traditional naturopath. Same title, two different titles, same outward job. Just two different hats for the same head, basically. Depends on who you're talking to, how they refer to me. So how did I get here? Well, let me share you my story. I started out as a small child, really wanting to be a doctor. I had, for the longest time, wanted to focus on animals and veterinary medicine, but that didn't last a long time. It quickly changed to medicine for humans after I had my tonsils out, witnessed different things that had gone on. It was just something I was very passionate about. It's helping people. And so I really focused on wanting to lean towards the medical side. And I didn't love school. I was a good student. I tested really high on my ACTs. I pretty much could have stepped into any medical program I wanted to. But by the time I got to be a sophomore in high school, I was pretty tired and pretty done with school. I was ready for a change, and I was ready to have some freedom away from school. And I had friends. I used to barrel race and rodeo, and horses are a big part of my life. And I was at a barrel race and had been talking with the daughter of a family friend of ours, and she was a massage therapist, and she started explaining to me what she did and how fulfilling and rewarding it was, and what a great way it was to help people. So I shadowed her for a couple times in her practice and just began asking questions and researching, and I decided that I wanted to shift from medicine to a more natural medicine and be able to have more time freedom, be able to have the same impact on people's lives without having to be dedicated to 8 or 10 or 12 more years of school. And so I shifted from traditional medicine, or modern medicine, I should say, modern medicine, to massage therapy. I didn't go to school right away after I graduated high school. I actually ended up waiting about 4 years before I went to school. I kind of needed that break. I was raising my boys. Just life happened. So I became a massage therapist and was a massage therapist for about 16 years. And in 2018, I was involved in a car accident that ended up injuring my neck and back, and it did some nerve damage to my neck, and I was unable to work. So I decided that I was going to take a short period of time away from massage therapy and let my body fully heal. I was starting to experience some issues with my thumb and my wrists and that sort of stuff. So it really was a good time. Not only that, my son, my oldest son, was graduating college and going into the military, and my youngest son was graduating high school. So we were focusing on becoming empty nesters, and real soon. And I just felt like it was the perfect time to take that time to heal, to adjust to the new things in life that were going on, and that's exactly what I did. So long story short, 2018, my life is taking a change, and we're going down a path that's going to be new for us. Everything was going great. We were adjusting to our new life, and 2020 rolls around and COVID hits. And COVID was crazy. In Nebraska, massage therapy is very, very tough to get licensed in because it is one of the most difficult, I should say, in the whole United States to license in. The regulations are insane. By the time you get through school, you are really, really close to actually being able to license as an LPN. If you were to put in your clinical and practical experience, you could step into an LPN license pretty easy. That's how intense Nebraska's massage therapy program is. And so um, COVID's going on and people are talking about this virus and how it's rampant and people are dying and it's a whole pandemic. And my thought through this whole thing is that virology didn't change overnight. That's not how viruses work. And that's one of the things that we did in school was we did virology and pathology, and we had to learn and study pharmacology in massage school. And I'm just like, this doesn't make sense, because in a true pandemic, people will literally crash their cars, or there'll be cars in the ditch, or wrecks, because people are so sick they're either falling over dead or they're becoming incapacitated because their illness is so rampant. And we weren't seeing that. And you would see that first in your homeless and transient, and there just wasn't people laying dead on the street. So I thought, wow, something is not right. Either this virus waits or we've been lied to. And so I kind of just sit back and watch. I don't really have a reaction other than something's not right with this. And in 2021, my son, who's a combat medic in the Army, he was getting ready to PCS from Tacoma, Washington to Georgia. And in that process, he's told me, Mom, I have to give shots to these veterans, and I don't want to do it because I don't think it's right. I said, well, hon, are they making you do this? Are they coming in and you're forcing them to? He goes, no. I said, so they're coming in on their own and they're making that decision? He said, yeah. I said, well, then you have to honor their wishes, because they've chosen that for their body and their life, and it's not on you. He's like, I know, but I just feel like it's wrong, and I wish there was something more I could do. Well, I agree, son, and I'm sorry, but you have to do what's best for you, and you have to make that decision. And he did. He honored his orders and did what these people wanted, but it sat on his conscience. And in 2021, so as he's moving and he's getting ready to move to Georgia, because he had gotten married in July, this was in November, they told him that you have to get your COVID shot before you can move. That's Army regs. And so he's like, great. So he does. They PCS. He moves from Washington to Georgia. And in the December of 2022, we had one of the coldest, snowiest, worst winters in the state of Nebraska that we have had in years. I honestly don't remember weather being that bad. And if it was long before I was able to drive, under the age of 12 at least. Roads were closed, bitter cold. And so JJ, my son JJ, and his wife were coming home for Christmas and coming to visit us, December of 2022. And they had to do the COVID shots, the boosters, before they can leave. So they each got their boosters. They're in different companies, so they went different places. Fast forward to February of 2023, my son's getting ready to deploy, and she is not. They're, like I said, separate companies, so they're not deploying together. And she calls me, and it scared me because I thought something had happened with my son, because that's not how we communicated. We always communicated through text or Snapchat or some sort of messaging system, and not audibly on the phone. And I said, well, what's going on? Is everything okay? And she said, yeah, I just called to tell you I was in the hospital. And I'm like, what are you in the hospital for? She said, well, when I got up this morning, I couldn't get out of bed without almost passing out. And I did pass out. And when I got my bearings about me and could sit up, then when I'd stand, it was the same thing. And I couldn't even hardly get down my stairs. And so they took her to the ER. Long story short, she was in the hospital for 7 days. Test after test after test, and they found out that she has a hole in her heart. And this was almost 3 months to the day of her getting her second booster, or her booster. She'd only gotten 2 shots total. And I asked her, I said, do you think this is related to the vaccine? And she said, I think it's directly related. And I said, well, I mean, I kind of agree, but what are you going to do? And she goes, I don't know. She goes, we're going to just figure this out. And I said, yep, we are. We're going to find out what's going on. And I talked to my son and I said, what do you think about this? And he said, well, I don't know. And I said, well, first of all, you have to take off your medical hat, and you have to take off your military hat, and you have to put on your logical thinking hat. And I told him, do you honestly believe that if she had a hole in her heart, that she would have made it through basic training? MEPS might have missed it, but basic training would not. It's too intense that if you had any kind of anomaly with your cardiovascular system, you're going to find out very, very quickly, and you're not going to continue on. They're not going to put you at risk, and they're not going to put themselves at risk. And he's like, yeah, that's true. She's been in the military for 7 years. So if it was there, they would have found it in some way or another. And that was the turning point for me. I had seen things with COVID and this pandemic that had gone on that had affected other people, but it now was affecting me and my family. And I wasn't going to have that. And I'm like, this is going to be over, and people are not going to trust the medical system at all because they're duped. And so I took it upon myself to enroll in school. And my parents had been seeing a natural health practitioner out of Cheyenne, Wyoming, that had been trying actually since 2018 to get me to go back to school. Because of the things that I knew, understood, and would be able to apply. Because his practice is one of the largest in the whole United States. I want to say it's second or third in the whole nation. Not only do they have a clinical practice, but they have distributing and manufacturing that they all do in-house right there. I mean, it's really an amazing company. I'm proud to be part of their family, and I'm proud to call them colleagues. So I contacted him to ask what school he went to, what I needed to do, and where I should start. And so I enrolled in college. The program to get to traditional naturopath takes about 3 to 5 years. And that's, going through from beginning to end. Well, my massage education is so much more advanced than a lot of others. So I'm thinking, I don't want to be in school for 3 years. So I submitted my transcripts, and I asked them if there was any kind of way I could take a test and placement and test out of it. And they said, absolutely. Tested out of it, tested into the holistic health program, and I graduated within 1.5 years. It was actually a little less than 1.5 years because I started in May of 2023 and graduated in August of 2024. Actually, September, I think, is when it was of 2024. So in March, when I graduated from the holistic health program, I had a blank space in there before I could do the naturopath program, which was only a 4-month program, but it was case studies, presenting your case studies, defending them. And so it was a lot of work. I mean, you were start to finish on getting your program done. So I graduated. I started in March of 2024 of building a clinic, securing a location, and getting going. And it all just fell together so naturally, pretty organically. I had help from my financial team, my colleague in Cheyenne. I mean, it's amazing. God truly blessed me in that way of this coming together, which is why I know I'm where I'm supposed to be. But that's how I got here, and here I am. We officially opened our doors the middle of January, and we really went live the first part of May, and we've just seen growth as we've gone. As things have gone through the whole year, we've experienced growth, and not just in business, but me, myself as a person. So that's how I got here. So when I'm talking to you guys about natural health, I'm sorry, I'm going to turn just a little bit so I can reference my notes. Most people, when they come seek me out or seek some form of natural health or even modern medicine, when they go to the doctor, they go with the expectation that when I walk out the door, I'm going to have a tool that is going to make me feel better. This is going to correct whatever I'm going through. Most people, when they walk in the doctor, and the doctor that hands you that pill or that liquid concoction you're supposed to, whatever it is you're getting, you're going to assume that it's okay for you and it's safe. And when you leave, you're going to utilize it. You're going to feel better. And that's going to be it. There's going to be no effects. You're not going to experience any kind of unruly side effect. And you dang sure don't expect to become worse than what you already are. And so it's safe to say that most people do not want to be harmed to be healed. And that isn't always the case with modern medicine. So disease management is another term we're going to refer to as modern medicine or allopathic medicine. Your traditional doctor that you go see right now that writes you the scripts, we're going to refer to that as modern medicine. And disease management. And what happens is with disease management, it does not restore function. For the simple fact of when you can see it on TV every day when they list out these commercials for Plavix or Eliquis or all of these things, there is a list of side effects that follows, and it's alarming. You think you're treating your blood sugar, and then you find out that, one of the side effects is death. You want to feel better, not kill yourself. And so those type of medicines, they don't restore your function. What they do is they create a Band-Aid, and that Band-Aid covers up the symptom that you're currently experiencing. But over prolonged use, it also sparks more symptoms that come up because you no longer are noticing this symptom, but now you're noticing something else. It is safe to say that you don't have seasonal allergies because you have an Allegra deficiency. You don't have high cholesterol because you're lacking whatever the cholesterol medicine is you're taking it. That's just not how it works. You're not deficient in a drug, and that's not causing your problem. It is something else. So you don't have a drug deficiency. So when I talk about traditional care has been around for over 6,000 years. It's proven effective. There's case studies to back it up. And it's what we were known. We were put on this earth to live 120 to 160 years. If we were put on this earth, it's safe to say that there's stuff on this earth to prevent disease, to cure us of our problems, and to provide us with the nutritional support we need to live that long life. Otherwise, what's the point? It's like putting an ant in a glass jar. It's torture. You're not going to keep it alive without providing a safe environment and giving it all the things that it needs to live outside the jar, inside the jar. So we have 6,000 years of recorded history that documents and backs it up. When it comes to modern medicine or modern disease management, as we call it, it's only been around for about 114, 115 years. And how we got here, years ago, in 1910, there was a report come out that called the Flexner Report, and it was put out by the Carnegie Foundation. The Carnegie Foundation we had over 200 medical schools across the whole United States that also taught chiropractics, massage, nutrition, Ayurvedic medicine, traditional Chinese medication, acupuncture, acupressure, all the things now that we see as luxury and not modern medicine. We see them as Eastern medicine, not what we look to for health and wellness. We see all of that as an expensive spa treatment. Unfortunately, all of these things have a place in our healthcare system. And what happened is the Carnegie Foundation went to all these schools and they said, we are now bringing you the gold standard of medicine. It is no longer these things. It is not the traditional things. It is a pharmaceutical-based practice. we have this medication for this ailment. We have this pill for that disease. And if you don't get on board with us and start using what we're offering, we're going to make sure that your schools are not funded. And as a result, only about 50 to 60 of those schools survived. So it's an even wonder that we even know about chiropractics or that even massage is even around. Not to mention acupuncture, acupressure, and let's not even discuss the amount of nutrition that is talked about in medical school, because there is not one nutritional class that's taught in medical school. So that's how we got here. And that is how we shifted from thousands of years of ancestral knowledge to a more convenient, results now, modern way of treating our healthcare. So we're going to refer to our natural health as an advanced medicine, because we are whole health. We cover your emotions, we cover your spirit, we cover you physically. We talk about what you're consuming, what you're breathing, how much exercise you're getting, what kind of daylight you're in. All of these things play a very important role in your health. And if you're not utilizing them daily or getting some form of exposure, you're actually contributing to the decline of your own health. So we push first nutrition, then herbal medications, and then nutraceuticals. And it's not medications, I shouldn't use that term, herbals. We use a lot of herbal tinctures in our practice because they are effective. And a lot of plant-based products are used for modern pharmacology. And so why would we use a synthesized form of something that grows in nature when we can just go directly to the source and use the whole plant and get way more benefits? And we don't have to worry with the regulation and the red tape and the bureaucracy of this going through the government and the government being able to drive up the prices and make it unaffordable for people who are looking to go a more natural way. So when we refer to our advanced care, we talk about the accessibility, which is why we focus on nutrition first. It's much easier to go to the grocery store and buy your medicine than it is to go to the pharmacy and spend hundreds of dollars a month when you're already at the grocery store doing the same thing. We want to educate you onto how to make the best choices for your health journey. Not only that, that comes to the accessibility part and the results part. Before the Flexner report came out and got a hold of our medical schools and medical education, we did not have the amount of chronic disease and illness that we're seeing now. All of that has just became rampant in the last 100 to 115 years. And it would be remiss of us to not look at that report and say, wait a minute, everything was good up until that point, and then things started to shift and die off. Now, there's other things that have led and contributed to the addictive junk foods that we have, but we're not here to discuss that. So that's what we call nutritional therapy. And so that's why I want to welcome you to nutritional therapy and what we do here. It is focused mostly on nutrition. We want you to understand what it's like to read labels, understand what a clean and whole food is versus a convenience food, and how it is contributing to your health daily. Now, it's not just the food we eat, our jobs, our environment, the air we breathe, the animals we're around, the people we're around. They all contribute to our health in some way or another. And so you have to take into consideration your whole environment. Not only that, emotions play a role in what your body does and how it responds as well. That, again, is another topic for further discussion. So we talk about 5 key concepts to maximize your results. Health restoration is a process. It's not going to happen overnight. You didn't get this way overnight. This is years of deficiencies, toxin buildup, and you didn't just wake up and be like, oh, I feel crappy, or oh, I have this problem. It took time. So it's also going to take time to correct, but in the process of it, you're going to learn how you can prevent it, how you can recognize it, and how you can course correct if you start to feel a shift in your health, either taking a step back from your results or, improving on where you're going. I'm definitely not perfect. I don't strive for perfection. I want you to be consistent, because consistency over time is going to be way more manageable than if you're trying to focus and be perfect. You will make yourself crazy if you try to be 100%. It's not possible. I don't expect that. I'm not perfect. I like a muffin once in a while. I like an iced coffee once in a while. And I sure won't give those up, but I will cut back and definitely have them in moderation. And I can honor my body if I need to take a break from those things to really maximize my results. Doesn't mean I like it, but I'll do it if I have to. So the reason we experience disease and chronic illness is for two reasons only. Is there's a presence of something in your body. Could be a virus, could be bacteria, could be parasites, yeast, it could be any number of things. But it's a presence of something that is taking a hold. And the absence of something. And the absence I'm talking about is a deficiency. You are nutrient deficient in something, and your body has been deficient long enough. It's tried to compensate, and it's asked for other organ systems to help by compensating, and it has done and compensated as long as it can, and it no longer has what it needs to be able to function. And as a result, you're starting to experience some symptoms of things. For example, yeast. If you have a yeast overgrowth, did you know there's over 250 different symptoms that are unrelated to a yeast problem in your body? They could be ADHD and athlete's foot. Those aren't even related, but they can be results of a yeast overgrowth and are very easily corrected if you take the time and the dedication to make it happen. And you can do it naturally as well. Your body has a healing system, a healing blueprint, we'll call it. And in that healing blueprint, that healing blueprint is called your nervous system, and it cannot lie to us. It knows exactly what you need, how much you need, and for how long. Your body knows what will correct the problems. We have just learned how to not listen to what our body's asking for, how to tune it out. And we've convinced ourselves that traditional ways are wrong and that the new modern convenience is not only more effective, but faster, without taking into consideration that are we really addressing the issue? In most cases, we're not. We're addressing a symptom that has nothing to do with what's going on. So we listen to your body's blueprint, and we're able to tap in and see what's going on, why it's happening, and how we fix it. We also, by doing this, by tapping into your central nervous system, like I said, we're able to determine right to the point, pinpoint exactly what your body needs, where it needs it, and why it needs it, and it'll tell us. It's pretty amazing to see it happen. In fact, I have a client, for example, real quick. She came in because she was talking about being overweight. She was worried she'd put on weight and couldn't take it off. Now, this is a woman that's about 5'5" and about 107 pounds. So I'm like, what weight? You look great. But in her mind, she had become a little bit bloated. She had experienced some health things that were not great for her. And I was surprised when she started talking about her COPD affecting her when she was hiking. To me, that would be my first concern, but you know what? I'm a different individual than she is. And we determined that she has a yeast problem, and that yeast problem is directly contributing to her COPD issues, and very well could be the cause of her COPD. So we're working on that, and things seem to be improving for her. But it's crazy how, when you look at yeast being an issue, COPD is one of the things that causes it. And so it's not something that she developed overnight. It's something that's been prolonged for a long period of time. And the same with the yeast. It did not just wake up and bam, you have a yeast problem. It's something that grows and happens. Just imagine making a loaf of bread and putting that yeast in a cup. And we're not talking about that yeast, but I'm talking about how you can watch it over time in the right environment grow and then spill out over the cup. And that kind of is what happens. So the right resources make the function restore and help the function to restore. You can't build a house if you don't have all the tools. You can put the wood together, but it's never going to hold if you don't have the nails. There are about 8 categories that we look at when we're talking about nutritional therapy. And we look at digestive support, immune support, organ cleanse, structural, that's your body, bones, muscles, that sort of thing. Hormones are a big thing for a lot of people. And especially when you're looking at all the phytoestrogens and stuff that are in our food, there's a lot of hormone imbalance because of the food we eat. Environmental, if you work on a farm, I have a lot of farmers and ranchers that come in. They're handling pesticides, herbicides, medication for their cattle, pour-ons, that sort of thing. And nutrition is a big one. We eat for convenience and for entertainment versus for consciousness. We no longer consume food to benefit us. We eat for entertainment and pleasure purposes. And cardiovascular, as a result, poor health is directly affecting people's cardiovascular health. You eat a bunch of crap and you gain weight, you don't have the energy to get out and go exercise. It's all directly related. And I would venture to bet if you're watching this video, you're experiencing some stress in one or maybe more of these areas. So we're going to talk about your initial visit. So, and I'm going to look at the board here, so I apologize. Your initial visit, if you decide that you want to work with me or start a program, it's going to take about 45 minutes of paperwork. Now, I'm not going to have you come in and say, here, you're going to take your paperwork home. You're going to do it in the privacy of your own home and when it's convenient for you. There is a system survey, and on that it's about 180 questions, and it lists certain things like, do you experience indigestion after eating spicy foods? You mark 1 for mild, 2 for moderate, 3 for severe. If it doesn't affect you, you leave it blank. It's pretty simple. It takes about 10 or 15 minutes, and it really gives us a peek behind the curtain as to what is affecting your body that maybe you don't realize is an issue. We're going to look at a 2-page case history. 2 pages. I had a lady bring in a 5-page typed up of everything she's done from the time she can remember to the time she is now. And I'm grateful for that because I can look back, but it really is not that big of a deal. It's really irrelevant in the grand scheme of things because I look at what your body is asking for the solution versus the symptom. The solution tells us more than the symptom anyways, and we're able to understand more what's going on by really addressing the solution versus the symptom. We have heart rate monitor, and that's done at some point in your initial paperwork. It's usually within the first 4 to 5 visits. We'll try and get you in. I had not been able to do those at first, but I was emailed, and the software that I was using an app instead of purchasing the software because it was more convenient for me. Just became back online. They had some manufacturing issues and had some technical difficulties with that app, and were not able to roll it out in the way that they wanted. So I had to wait a little bit, but we're all good. My heart rate monitor is in the mail and it's on the way. So that will be up in the next few weeks as well. So we will have that. Kinesiology. This is the muscle testing I'm talking about. This is the tapping into your central nervous system. We use nutritional kinesiology to find out where you are, what's going on, and what we need to do about it. And we use reflex points by touching touching reflex points on your body, we're able to determine what's going on and why. We can evaluate that current status. We can see kind of the trajectory that your body's going, and we can determine the practical course of action. And then we educate you on the proper use of your resources. That's a big thing. We are more about educating than we are pushing a protocol. Now, this is going to be a journey for you. It's also a journey for me, and I'm walking with you right beside you because I'm on my own journey as well. And I'm here to provide insight, to offer support. I will ask that you fill out some food logs. And what that does, I know it seems like a lot because I was overwhelmed with the food logs at first as well. But they're important because we are able to to look at where you're at and something that may be holding you back. For example, maybe you're having a piece of bread or toast with every meal, and you're using, I can't believe it's not butter or something like that, and you just are stuck. You've come to a certain point in your journey and you're like, I'm not seeing any more results. Well, so maybe we tweak and we change you to sourdough bread once a week, or once a day instead of 3 times a day, and you go to using real butter as opposed to margarine or something that is not a good food to consume. So, we're going to tell you and show you where you can make the corrections and where you can make the changes, and that's why we do the food logs. So, our findings from your initial visit, that would be your first visit, you come in. We're going to talk about your digestive support. Maybe it's an immune issue, viral, bacterial, parasite, fungal, that is possible. And then we're going to talk about your organ systems and whether we're cleansing a specific organ. It could be a structural issue. Structural support and repair may be needed, especially if there's somebody who's had a lot of surgeries or had a lot of injuries. Those can play a part in your overall health because they've disrupted your central nervous system's ability to communicate effectively with your body. Environmental support. We're going to look at what you've been exposed to and toxins, what you are exposed to every day, and the kind of the environment not only that you live in, but you work in. Those all play important roles. Your nutrition and cardiovascular support are also going to be addressed and covered should you need those things. And so then after your initial visit, you're going to move into your program of care. And this is where we really get a grip on what is going on with you and what we need to do to make the corrections and where you want to go on your health journey. So we start with the support phase. The support phase is 4 to 6 weeks, and they're 15 minutes visits, they're full kinesiology. Now, every time you come in, you're going to get a full kinesiology. Your visits are still going to only be 15 minutes. My time's precious, and so is yours, and I want to honor you being able to get in here, have your testing done, and get out. And we don't need to spend hours upon hours when we can do this fairly quickly. So your kinesiology assessment's going to happen, and I will point out that when we first start these kinesiology tests, it is about a 9-step process. It's very quick to go through the whole 9 phases, but I'm one of those that I'm going to use the term low and slow. So I could test you and your body might ask for 9 different products. I'm not going to send you home with 9 different products. When you first come see me, you're going to get 3 or 4. That's it. We're going to prioritize what's important for your body at the time. And I want you to develop the good habits and get consistent in taking what your body's asking for, so as you're not overwhelmed with a new habit. If I send you home with 9 things and you have to take 4 here, 1 here, and 2 here, whatever, several different times in the day, it's going to interfere with your everyday life. You're going to forget, you're going to feel like you failed, and you're going to not do it. I know that's exactly how I would feel, so I'm not going to do that to you. We're going to do 3 to 4 things, we're going to move on. And in most cases, we're not even going to get through the whole evaluation because your body's going to ask for 3 or 4 things fairly quickly. that's okay, because by the time we get to the stability phase, we're going to be able to flow through that test real easily without being able to have to make the changes so frequently. We're going to know what is specific for your body as far as what systems are needing the most support and why. And in that stability phase, we're going to see you every 2 to 3 weeks for about 12 weeks, or 12 visits. We're going to say 12 visits. It might take longer. So after the stability phase, and you've done that, we're going to be into the restoration phase. And that restoration phase is 6, 8, 12 weeks, depending on how you're doing and how your body's testing. I mean, if you're in the restoration phase and every 6 weeks your body's asking for, or say let's every 8 weeks, your body's asking for a change in something, we might cut back to a 6-week visit to make sure that your program is stable and that your body's not saying, wait, I need this now over this. And so depending on where you're at and what your stability is looking like, we're going to be into the restoration phase. Once you enter into that restoration phase, you're looking, like I said, every 8 to 12 weeks. And that restoration phase could take 1 to 3 years before you have achieved the optimal health in your body that you're looking for. Now, it depends on, how effective you are, how seriously you take your program, and how you apply it to your life. The more passionate you are about it and the more committed, the more quickly you're going to see results, obviously. So it takes 3 to 6 months to achieve the stability, and then 1 to 3 years to get well. And it seems like a lot, but it's doable. And in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that long when you consider how long it probably took for you to get in the condition you're in. So, nutritional therapy and services. This is the approximate investment that you can expect. Nutritional therapy is going to be about $5 to $6 a day, about what it costs for your Starbucks order or your 7 Brew order or your coffee order, wherever that is. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. It kind of depends on your path. It kind of depends on what kind of things you're experiencing. Somebody who has been on a lot of medications, has had a lot of health issues, probably going to cost a little bit more versus somebody who is more health conscious or is just kind of starting to get into a health journey. We had, for example, I'll list these quick too. We had a yoga instructor come into the clinic in Cheyenne, and she is the epitome of health. I mean, every woman wants this person's body. I mean, she is amazingly fit. She's got a tremendous career, eats right, and does not look a day over 30. And she is complaining about chronic fatigue, insomnia, and headaches. Like, why would a yoga instructor who is the epitome of health be having these problems? Well, long story short, we run her through the test, and she's the bionic woman. She doesn't test for anything. So we're like, wow, what could we be looking at? So we ask her, do you have any scars? And she's like, well, no. Well, your belly button is your biggest scar. It's the first scar you ever receive, and you have it for life. There's nothing you can do about it. She has a little dot above her belly button. And we asked, well, what is that? And she said, well, about 10 years ago, I went to Mexico. I got my belly button pierced with some friends. I had it for about 2 years and took it out because it didn't serve me. Well, we tested her, and that scar was the exact problem she was experiencing. She had no idea that one little scar could affect her body so greatly. We sent her home with an $8 bottle of wheat germ oil, and she never came back. Now, she's referred several people to us that just have raving reviews, but she has never herself had to come back. Then we had another lady that came in, and she was a train wreck. We call these medical train wrecks. She was on over 13 different medications, horribly, horribly ill, felt awful, and just not getting anywhere. So we set her up with one of our pharmacists. He took her off right off the bat, 8 of the 13, because they were contraindicated for each other. She was taking something that was not serving her in any way, and it was doing no good. And she immediately, within a few days, felt so much better. But she started her protocol, and her protocol was Cost her about $400 to $500 a month for the first 10 months. But in those 10 months, she lost 56 pounds. She regained some of her health. She's now on 3 medications, and she's on a third of the dose. And she is doing better than she's ever felt. She said she can't remember how long it's been since she's felt this good, which is amazing. So it depends on the case and what you're experiencing and what you have to work with as to what you can expect to pay. You know, if you're a medical train wreck, you're going to spend a little more money, but we're here to work with you on that. So I don't want you to get wrapped up in cost of programs if you really need it, because this is very important. And I want you to be healthy. I want you to feel good. I want you to experience the life that you deserve to have outside of chronic illness and being a slave to some sort of pill bottle or prescription. So, services. This is based on normal frequency of care. You know, this is average. So a kinesiology visit is $45. Now, that's about the cost of a copay, so we kind of like to keep it as to what you're used to paying if you were to go to the doctor. Now, if you're 55 and older, you're going to get discounted to $35. If you're a student practitioner or a practitioner of healing arts, a massage therapist, a chiropractor, something like that, or a veteran, it's going to be $35. And there's something in here I did not add, and I just thought of it here a couple days ago, and so I'm just throwing it out there. If you're a husband and wife or a boyfriend, girlfriend, you come in at the same time and you both commit to a program together, we're going to do $30 a piece. So you're going to have, basically, you're getting three visits for the cost of 2. By that, you each are going to pay $30 as opposed to the $35 because you've committed to a program together. So if you want to even save some more money, bring your husband, bring your boyfriend, girlfriend, what have you, bring your wife. It can even be mother, daughter, father, son, mother, son. I mean, I don't care if you commit to, as a family member, and you commit to 2 of you doing a program at the same time. I'm going to even reduce that cost further. Children are 18 and under are $30 as well. I want them to experience good health. I want our kids to learn how to recognize health problems. I want them to be able to make sound decisions. And the only way we can do that is to not only educate ourselves, but to educate them. So let's go over what we talked about tonight. We covered that health is a process, not an event, and it just happens gradually over time. Same with the healing. We talked about why we experience disease, the presence of something, the absence of something. We also discussed your body's blueprint and how your central nervous system really is the lie detector of our body, and it cannot lie. It is the best doctor on the table. You are the best doctor in the room when it comes to your health. We talked about where that problem is, why it's there, and how we address it. We also talked about getting your health in order, what kind of time we can expect that to happen, and what caused it. Also included in your packet, if you're watching this, is the 4 pieces to wellness puzzle, and that kind of talks about what we've covered here as well. It's going to give you the cliff notes of what I've talked about today and give you a peek behind that. It also is going to talk to you about your responsibilities if you decide to commit to a program. And so last but not least, if you do decide that you want to commit to a program with me, there are 2 things that are at stake: your health and my reputation. I'm not here to jeopardize either one of them. That's why the first 2 visits are on me. They're complimentary. I want to get to know you and your problem or your health issues. I want you to get to know me and feel comfortable, but also to see that I'm in this with you. And I'm really here to educate and support you more than I am to tell you what to do. So that's very important. Not only that, my time is precious, as is yours, and I don't accept every case. I won't take somebody who's not willing to make a commitment to themselves. They're not hurting me, they're actually hurting themselves. So if you're not willing to do this for you, definitely don't do it for me, because that's not the relationship I want to build. So you're going to get the first 2 on me. Not only that, if you refer somebody, we have an excellent referral plan. So if you refer somebody, I'm going to credit to your account. First $5, then $10, then $20. And after the third one, each one you refer after that is going to be $20. If you're sending people in my door and they're committing to a program, you very easily could accrue several hundreds of dollars that can be applied to anything. You can use them for the massage chair we have in here, the infrared sauna. You can use it to apply towards product. There is no limit. There is no restrictions on the referral money that you make in here and how it can be applied in the store. So what I would have you do if you decide you're going to work with me is complete the forms. Contact me if you're watching this video. We'll set an appointment. Once I receive the paperwork, we'll schedule your initial visit and we'll get started. We'll run through a kinesiology test. I'll go over your paperwork and we'll start a program of care. And if you decide when the program of care rolls around, it's not what you want to do, well, you know what? You're not out any money. You've learned a little bit about natural health. You've learned who I am. Maybe I've made a friend. I hope so. And we go our separate ways, no hard feelings. But if you do decide to work with me, I know that I'm going to build a friendship and a relationship because I'm going to be right there with you. I'm going to be your biggest fan and I'm going to be your biggest support system because I've done this myself. I've been here myself and I understand how hard it can be sometimes to navigate a big change like this. That's why we take it slow, because I don't want it to be a big change. I want it to be a change that you can live with, a change that you can believe in, and a change that is easy for you to apply. So I would ask you if you have any questions. If you do, please reach out to me and ask them. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And you don't have to commit to a program to ask questions. So I am going to wrap this up. I'm going to tell you that my dog's name is Gus, because I'm going to ask you that to make sure that you've watched this to its entirety. So I hope you have a great night. I hope to work with you, and I hope that I can serve you in your health journey. Have a wonderful day and be blessed.